I've been looking forward to reviewing this one. This is the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. It's an awesome little smartphone that's quite powerful, but it's also budget. But like with my other phone reviews, what is it like speed-wise, and can it play any emulated games? Stick around to find out. It's TechWiz time. Hey guys, Jonathan here with TechWizTime, where I create technology tutorial and review videos. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus. Now, full disclosure, GearBest did send this phone out to me. No money is exchanged hands, and thoughts and opinions are definitely my own. So with that said and out of the way, I just wanted to say that with Xiaomi, I haven't reviewed any of their products before, but I've always been excited to try them out because they just seem to be one of those brands that are up and coming and, you know, have a lot of potential. So I wasn't really disappointed at all when I was testing this out, and you'll see why soon. So inside this phone is the Snapdragon 625 processor. Now that's an 8-core 2 GHz processor, and it's got the Adreno 506 GPU inside. This particular model comes with 32 GB of onboard storage and 3 GB of RAM. Bluetooth comes in at version 4.1, and it's only 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi here, not the 5 GHz. Now it comes with Android 7.1.2, and unfortunately it doesn't come with USB-C, it's only the micro USB. Out of the box, this device isn't rooted, so you'll need to look elsewhere. And the battery life is at 4,000 mAh, so not too bad. The screen is a 5.99-inch IPS display that comes in at 2160 by 1080, so not too bad there. This one does have the headphone jack up the top, but like I said, it's only got the micro USB down the bottom, and it also has the 2 SIM card slots, or 1 SIM card and the 1 micro SD card slot. Really good if you're looking to expand that 32 GB of storage. But when talking about the camera quality, let's have a look at the front-facing camera and the rear-facing camera. The front is 5 megapixels and the rear is 12 megapixels. So we'll take a little selfie. And apparently I'm a 42 or 43-year-old male. Must be looking a bit older after I've had my first child. Okay, so we'll grab Totoro, and that's the rear-facing camera, what it looks like. So with all those specs and that out of the way, let's have a look at some benchmarks. And the first one up is A1 SD Bench. This tests the storage capability, how fast it reads and writes, and the internal storage, and also the external micro SD card. So for the internal read speed, we're looking at 231 megabytes per second, and for the internal write speed, we're looking at 145 megabytes per second. So not too bad. The write speed's a little bit on the low side, but considering this is a budget phone, it's not too bad. Next up is the micro SD card read and write speeds, and the read speed we're looking at 74 megabytes per second, and the write speed we're looking at 42 megabytes per second. So again, the write speed is a little bit on the low side, but this is a budget phone. Lastly, we've got the RAM speed. This is how fast the device can access the RAM. We're looking at 5,335 megabytes per second. So for the inbuilt 3 gigabytes of RAM, that's not too bad. Next up, we've got Antutu, and we're looking at an overall score of 62,209, a 3D score of 12,347, a UX score of 23,995, a CPU score of 20,441, and a RAM score of 5,426. Next up, we've got Geekbench to test out the CPU, and we're getting a single core score of 853, and we're getting a multi-core score of 4,160. Next up to test the GPU capabilities, we've got 3D Mark, and in the Slingshot test, we're getting 834. In Slingshot Extreme, we're getting 459. In Ice Storm, we're getting 13,351. And lastly, in Ice Storm Extreme, we're getting 6,813. Next up, we've got the popular streaming apps, which is either Netflix or YouTube. YouTube works out of the box. It comes in at 1080p resolution. However, Netflix doesn't. So if Netflix is something that you're looking for on your phone, this probably isn't the phone for you. Okay, so with all those benchmarks out of the way, let's have a look at the next step, which is emulation or gaming. Normal gaming, like Android gaming and so forth, is going to work fine on this phone, but when it comes to emulation, you need quite a powerful phone to pull it off. So that's why I do those tests here. So the first one up, we're looking at PPSSPP, which is the PlayStation Portable Emulator. And the first game up is Power Stone. Now for this one-on-one brawler, we're looking at 35 to 45 frames per second. So not too bad. You'll still be able to play it, just not at the full frame rate. And the next one is the notorious God of War. And this one, we're only seeing about 15 to 20 frames per second here. So it's not going to be the best for playing such a power-hungry game like God of War. All right, so after that, we've got Raycast, which is the Dreamcast emulator for Android. And the first game we're looking at here is Sonic Adventure 2. And surprisingly, we're getting about 40 to 50 frames per second here, which is really, really good on Sonic Adventure 2, especially considering that the max here is about 50 frames per second since it's a PAL game. After that, we've got Shenmue, and we're getting around 25 to 30 frames per second here. definitely playable for when you're on the go. And lastly, for the Dreamcast emulator, we've got Soul Calibur. Now this fighter is coming in at 45 to 55 frames per second. So definitely capable, just it's got a lot of graphical glitches. So that's the emulator itself, it's nothing to do with the phone. Okay, and lastly, we'll have a look at FPSE, which is the PlayStation 1 emulator for Android. And the first game off the ranks here is Final Fantasy VII, a fan favorite. So we're getting about 60 frames per second here, which is fantastic. So you'll be able to play this on the go. So after Final Fantasy VII, we've got Metal Gear Solid, and this one's coming in at 60 frames per second too, which is fantastic. And lastly, off the ranks to test whether this is capable of PlayStation emulation, we always test out Tekken 3. So Tekken 3 is coming in here at 60 frames per second, so there's no issues here with PlayStation emulation. So a couple of things to note with the Xiaomi Redmi 5 Plus is I really like this phone. I like its display, I like the feel of it, I like the MIUI front end that they've put on this. It feels really responsive and they've done a really good job with it. One other thing to note here as well is that it is a Chinese smartphone, so it is for the Chinese market, and unfortunately a lot of it is still in Chinese. It doesn't come with Google Play Store. However, if you go to their marketplace and simply type in Google Play Store, then it will come up and you will be able to install it like I have here. So one of the only downsides that I see to this phone is that it is using micro USB instead of USB-C. And for me, it's not really a killer, but I do prefer the USB-C devices now rather than the micro USB. But for its price and its gaming capabilities and all its tests that it's done, I've got to say this is a pretty decent smartphone if you're looking in that price range, which if I haven't mentioned is around the $200 mark. So do you want to see more awesome tech reviews and tutorials? Then make sure you subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon to get email notifications. Did you like this video? Then give it a thumbs up and consider checking out my Patreon campaign if you love what I'm doing here. You can also help the community grow by sharing this video on social media platforms like Reddit and Facebook groups. Don't forget to check out these other awesome videos, and as always, imagine, learn, create. 2 in the can, baby.